Peace, family. What's up? Back again, Tori Russell for Witness to History, News One. Today, I got a guest who, man, look, my movement, protest partner, political strategist, the youngest elected official in the history of St. Louis, former alderman of the 21st Ward, my ward, the People's Ward, and as a real one, fresh home from federal prison, come to do his first interview here with me on this podcast, Witness to History, and on News One, man. For sure, John, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, my brother.
Man, it's good to see you, family. How you doing?
Hey, man, it's good to be seen. I'm doing all right. I'm here with my brother, so I'm fantastic, man. I can't complain.
It's gonna be a real one, y'all. I appreciate this, man. So I care about you. I love you, man. We're gonna get to the Ferguson. We're gonna get to the politics, man. How do it feel to be home?
It feels different. It feels new, and it's a shocking feeling. Feels good to see my family and my friends. Feels good to see the people that I care about and the people that care about me. What's disappointing, though, is to see the state that our community is in. When I left, it was doing bad. But when I returned, the condition has worsened. The problems have not been solved. The same people and families are struggling, and Black people are still not free. We still don't have justice. We still don't have equality. We still don't have equity. So to see that again, returning from prison, where I thought I seen all the injustice, I come back here to St. Louis and I see injustice on steroids. I see inequity on steroids. And I see the community in a city that I love in a dangerous position.
That's how you gonna start, huh? I feel like same. It hurt me driving down Red Bud, man. It hurt me driving through our district. I be feeling some type of way, man. I hate how the politicians play the Ferguson card too. I really hate it. Cause I actually was outside with you, before you was all of this or whatever. You just John, always political, but always right on time. So do you think the Ferguson protests changes your politics if you're a politician in the movement, adjacent to the movement? Do you think it does anything to your political sphere or your analysis?
I believe that anyone who was an active member of the movement in Ferguson, anyone who was a protester or a movement builder or an organizer, you all did those things for one simple reason, because you understand the dynamics that are in play and because you love Black people. To be quite honest and transparent, Ferguson does not change a person's politics or political thinking. You either have it or you don't. You either care about Black people or you don't. You either understand that what happened in Ferguson, what happened to Mike Brown, was not an isolated incident. It was a continued pattern, right? And once you understand that, the policies that you want to fight for or advocate for, those policies are not based off Ferguson. They're based off everything before Ferguson, because you didn't adopt the Black mind in 2014. You didn't wake up and suddenly become a conscious Black organizer or a conscious Black leader or wanted to participate in a democratic or civic process. That didn't happen in 2014. If you are actually true to what Ferguson was and still is, you were all of those things before Ferguson even occurred. Ferguson may have brought it up out of you, or Ferguson may have highlighted that inside you. But if you are dedicated and committed to the progression of Black people, to the progression of the communities at large, that's what Ferguson was. So it doesn't change your politics. It may change the way that you participate in the political process.
Yeah, that's right.
For me, being a part of Ferguson and coming from that movement, the only thing that changed within me about it was knowing how to reach out to the community that I am serving. Knowing how to be an active listener and knowing how to organize and mobilize people around you for a common goal. That's what Ferguson taught me in regards to public policy or politics.
I wish it taught everybody that walked in the streets. There's some politicians right now that some of them was out there. Some of them was out there as much as you. Some of them never was out there, but had a address. And I feel like it's two different kind of Fergusons. I think one thing that is kind of clear for me and you is, I was Black before I got here. I was working class, or what the left would call the proletariat, or what my cousin them would say, I'm out the trenches. I come from my community and I'm tapped in. I know you. Let everybody know who you was and what makes you the great politician, the political strategist, the good man and father that I know.
That's a deep question, man.
Okay.
That's a really deep question. What makes me me?
Yeah.
The unconditional love I have for the community that I sought to serve and did serve. Right. I know what it feels like to walk to O'Fallon Park to go play basketball. I know what it feels like to walk to Yateman Market and don't have any money, but go in and get a soda anyway because the owner is cool with you. I know what it feels like to walk up and down Redbud, just talking to the guys and hanging out, right? That's the love I have for St. Louis. That's the St. Louis that I know. That's the good St. Louis that I know. Now the bad is the high crime rate, the poverty, the least economic opportunities, the crumbling homes, and the impoverished neighborhoods. That's the bad. But you have to take the good and the bad together. And I love both of them because I have a great understanding of each of them, right? To understand the dynamics that impact St. Louis, you have to understand each community, each neighborhood, and the people in that neighborhood. And that was my number one priority when I was elected alderman in 2017, was to understand the people, understand the issues, and understand how each family is struggling, and understand how each family is being successful, and to work together in a collaborative effort. I love St. Louis, and that's what I think people don't understand about me. People could see the headlines, people could see the news stories, people could see the edited clips on social media, but all of those are not a symbolic representation of who I am or what I am. I'm a person who chose to stay in St. Louis and raise his family here. I'm a person who chose to get involved because I know that the only way we can change the conditions of our community is by directly impacting it and trying to figure it out together, fighting for a common solution, fighting for a common goal, and a common solace.
It's a lot of things that I just remember when you first got in, like really trying to attack the dollar housing bill. All right, y'all. Look, so I know you know, and I feel like it's funny. You want to tell them about the first dollar housing bill until they made the amendment to it?
Oh man, there was a lot of late nights with that
There
one.
was a lot of late nights, brother.
The dollar housing program. Of course, it was an initiative that you are very familiar with, that you
Yeah.
helped me write.
For sure.
A board bill that we initially introduced in 2018, which was giving houses away in the city's land bank for 4 quarters, $1. No games, no hidden fees, no red tape, no bureaucracy. If you see this house that you like and it's owned by the city of St. Louis, if you have a plan for this home, you want to move in this home, you want to redevelop this home, you want to remodel it, you want to invest in our community, then we want you to do it. Give us $1, we give you the deed to the house, it's yours. That was the initial program model.
Right.
Of course, it received some criticism from the administration of Mayor Ferguson and from the St. Louis Economic Development Agency, SLDC. So after going back to the drawing board once and twice and 3 times and 4 times, altogether about 23 times, where we had to meet and revise and re-edit this program proposal, we finally got it passed in 2019. In this time, it was a little bit more stipulations than what I originally wanted.
Right.
But I conceded because I wanted the program to come into fruition. So now instead of the easy transaction, which was the original intent, now it's a little bit more stipulations put in place. But nonetheless, it was still an opportunity for people to purchase these homes in communities that needed the investment, primarily in North St. Louis, which at that time had upwards 12,000 LRA eligible properties that people could rehab and people can remodel. It was a great program. I wish that it had received more support and more resources from the administration.
What kind of resources? What kind of support?
I mean, I think that it is good that we have a program that a person could give $1 and get a house. But now what about the additional cost to rehab in that home?
Right.
Now we asking people to invest in our community, but let's invest in that person, right? So if this house needs a new roof, hey, you don't do that. The city is going to take care of that. You need some electric work. You don't do that. The city is going to take care of that. You need some plumbing. You don't do that. We got you covered. These are the additional resources that we needed to make this program 100% successful. Again, it's all about investment. It's a little give and take. And if we want to see our communities redevelop, if we want our communities to look like Tower Grove or the Central West End or the Hill, then the city has a part that it has to play. We cannot expect residents and the everyday citizen to shoulder all the load, especially when it wasn't the everyday citizen who bankrupt our communities, who damaged our communities, and who destroyed our communities, right?
Facts.
This did not happen overnight. This was a ongoing process. This was a pattern. This was targeted disinvestment. So now we have to combat that with targeted investment. And if we had did what we supposed to do with the dollar housing program, what me and you had originally wrote those years ago, then we would see a dramatic change in North St. Louis. We would see a dramatic change in St. Louis, period. the last I checked, the last numbers that I received was in 2020 regarding the dollar housing program. Only 12 or 13 homes were sold under that program. All of those homes were sold in North St. Louis. So just imagine, just wonder for a moment if we had the resources behind it. Instead of 12, it might have been 12,000. Instead of 13, it might have been 13,000.
I think about how many houses when we start targeting them houses, and first it wasn't really no clause. I don't think they really. As much as we talk about black folks can't read, I don't think they can read either. So it was any house, any building, and I don't even think we wrote in commercial. We put in like building. And then they wouldn't. Every idea that we came up with, it was like slashed. And I feel like a lot of times we think it's so simple, and it's like, no, it's just people on the other side opposing you. So it's like, we was coming up with crazy ideas like, hey man, we can get $1 million from Home Depot and other, corporations. We could take their money, they can give us a material grant. We could take the work development program in the summer and take the youth. We can take the state grants, and like we put, public and private mergers like you're supposed to do. And yeah, they wasn't for none of that. And these people are funded by developers. I don't think people really understand that this is a developer town.
Absolutely.
Like this is where the people from Chicago and New York and Apple and all these people from the Bay and all these people, they come out here and invest. I think that dollar housing bill would have gave us, our people north of Delmore, the people that's always left out, the have-nots, a shot at that. And I felt like strategically they didn't want that.
No, they didn't. And this is not a new concept, not in terms of urban mobility, right? The dollar housing program was conceived in different cities throughout the United States, whether it was Minnesota, Kansas City, Columbia, Illinois, whether it was also Baltimore, Maryland. This program has been successful in all of those cities. But in all of those cities, there were additional resources and funds that aided this program, right? Like, for instance, in Baltimore, any person that got a dollar home also got free facade, also got free cosmetic work as well done to that home. So government agencies around the country understand that in order for there to be some investment, there has to be some contribution from the city, some contribution from the government.
I want to switch gears a little bit. I feel like you could talk about housing, but I think a big issue now has been the issue of crime. An issue that I remember we had less than 5 murders in what they call our murder district. While you was the older person, I want to say that. Is there any kind of policies or legislation that you could think of that would be impactful to the height of crime going on in St. Louis?
Absolutely. It's economic opportunities.
Okay.
People need jobs. Where there is no jobs, where there's no economic investment, where there's no economic development, you're going to find crime, right? We don't see crime happening in the Central West End. We don't see crime happening in pockets of South St. Louis that's developed, that has job growth, that has stable housing, that has access to quality health care, access to quality food. We don't see the crime numbers there that we see in North St. Louis, right? When you intentionally disinvest in a city composed of 79 neighborhoods, when you do that intentionally, then of course you're going to see pockets where there is soaring crime rates. The things that we did in North St. Louis during my tenure, I'm proud of. Uh, before I was knocked with a federal investigation, I'm proud to say that in our ward, we had no homicides that year, which was in 2021 and 2022. We had 0 homicides, and we were the only ward in North St. Louis that had 0 homicides, and we were the 3rd ward throughout the city that had 0, the other 2 being in South St. Louis. And that was very intentional in terms of public engagement with our police department. We had a great captain who was very hands-on, that being Captain Perry Johnson, who was diligent in his work and who believed in walking the beat. And we knew exactly where we need to target our resources to fight crime. I knew we didn't have crime on the 4500 block of Holly, but I knew there was crime on the 4400 block of Redbud. I know there's crime on the 2100 block of Adelaide. So when we started being intentional about where we put our resources, where we put our crime fighting tools, then we saw a decrease in violent crime and a decrease in crimes by property. As a city and as a state, we have to get real about the solutions. We have to get real about understanding what the problem is. If I cannot feed my family, and the only way for me to do that is to go sell drugs in front of O'Fallon Park, then I'm going to do it. If the only way for me to make sure that my daughter has diapers, I have to go rob someone in front of Fairground, then I'm going to do it. So we have to get real about producing jobs for people who need it, and not silly jobs, real jobs with a living wage. That's what we have to do here in the city of St. Louis. And we have to be real about understanding common sense gun control, right?
What's that? What's common sense gun control?
We have to keep guns out of the hands of people that we know are going to commit crimes, right? We have to keep guns out of the hands of people who are repeat offenders with gun crimes. That's what we have to do. And that is a task that the United States Congress has to take on.
Okay.
It cannot be done by the Missouri General Assembly. It cannot be done by the Board of Aldermen. We need U.S. Congress to pass a comprehensive gun control bill.
I don't know how we get that done with the Democrats and Republicans gang banging on the set, though. I also feel like they use that sometime as a tactic and strategy, so they don't have to do anything about guns. They just get the blame. The other side, one of them want common sense gun laws. The other ones want everybody to have a gun, and nobody's willing to compromise. So I feel like, I wish that Congress could do a lot of things. I wish they could do something for reparations. For Black people. I feel like that's a big key. And I think anybody coming out of a Ferguson district should be on that type of time, at least on policy. I know we talked a lot back then, and even while you was in office, around like social justice, equity, economic justice, and policy. What does that look like comprehensively? I know we talked about jobs. What about businesses? What role does local government play in creating businesses? And the Congress, because, we had Cori Bush. Now, at the time, this era, we had Wesley Bell as the congressman. We'll definitely come back to that. What does that policy look like in conjunction? Meaning, how does a congressperson work with a state assembly member and working with an elected official to bring economic justice, especially in our ports, West Florissant, Natural Bridge, down Grand. I don't think we had our streets paved on Grand since Freeman Bosley Jr. was the mayor. How does that look? It's building up businesses that are also Black owned, that produces the jobs our community need.
It's all about collaboration. It's all about being intentional. It's all about being realistic too. right? If you want to see job growth, if you want to see Black business expansion, then we have to pass real-time policies that support that and that aid in that mission and that aid in that objective. Um, what we need to do realistically on a local level is get a pot of funding and say this is only for Black-owned businesses.
We just did that. Mayor Tashara Jones got over $500 million. I remember you called for something. What did you call for out of that economic justice a bill or something like that around?
That was the ARPA funds.
Okay.
That we got from the U.S. government.
The money from the stimulus.
Right. It came from Joe Biden's infrastructure bill.
Okay.
And in a city, what Black aldermen wanted to do, what we did do in the Black caucus, compromised of Black aldermen in the city, we set aside for that $400 million to go to Black-owned businesses.
That's a big number.
For expansion,
okay,
for startup cost, and for ongoing operational support. $300 million went to businesses,
okay,
and $100 million was going to support the administration to make sure that we have the staffing that we need to get this money
the
out.
infrastructure for it.
Right.
Okay.
So nearly almost just shy of $500,000. Unfortunately, we was fought on that level with our current mayor, Mayor Jones. She wanted the money to go to any business throughout the city, white or Black, in North City or in South City.
Okay.
We conceded, when I say we, I mean the Black caucus.
Okay.
We did concede that, okay, it can go to businesses in South St. Louis too, but it's not going to white businesses. That's not happening. Not with this funding, not with this board bill. We want to go to Black-owned business owners. And when we say Black-owned, not a shell company, not some little business that has two Black faces. No, we need to see realistic paperwork. Is the registered owners, is the registered agents of this business Black? Let's see some birth certificates. Let's get real, right?
Facts.
That was pushed back with our current mayor. And I understand she's the mayor for the entire city of St. Louis. That's cool. That's cute. However, I'm an alderman representing the Black ward. We are aldermen representing Black wards who are struggling, who has struggled for the last 10 decades. And now we're struggling under your administration, Madam Mayor. Let me remind you, you're Black too. You say you come from North St. Louis. All right, get on board. Let's make this happen. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Shortly after the Board of Aldermen became in disarray, and when I say in disarray, I mean the forced resignation of myself, the forced resignation of President Reed, and the forced resignation of Alderman Jeffrey Boyd from the 22nd Ward, the West Side. When that happened, then it was easy for the mayor to do what she wanted to do with legislation, because now she doesn't have the problems that she had with real leadership fighting against her for Black progress and Black advancement.
I mean, you're saying a lot, John. I mean, Tashara ran on a Ferguson platform. She talked about bringing in the 21st century Ferguson Commission reports, recommendations, guidelines. I haven't seen those, but she talks a lot about economics as the former treasurer. That's a tough thing. Why do you think Tashara, who's probably the second mayor to live north of Delmar that we know about, why isn't that investment from the board? Why aren't Ferguson protesters like Rasheen Aldridge, who's an alderperson now, and others from Ferguson protests who was on the board pushing Tashara, pushing others. Even if y'all not there, I mean, they represent the same wards and the same districts that we live in. Why isn't this collaborative Black effort from these Black elected officials when we have them at every level? Why isn't that happening?
You can't be scared to be you.
Mm.
You can't be scared to be pro-Black.
Mm.
You cannot be afraid to represent the people that you represent and know who you represent. Right? And that's the issue that we see in politics today. People alienate their bases. People alienate the districts and the wards that they serve. They don't know who they serve. They think they know because they got enough votes to hold the seat. But they really don't know. If they did, if they knew, then our communities would not look the way they look. I believe Mayor Jones is I believe Mayor Jones does care about the welfare of Black people. I believe that she has allowed herself to be coddled by white progressives in a white Democratic Party that wants to control the narrative of a Black city, that wants to control the narrative of a post-Ferguson, that wants to control the narrative of what a progressive political agenda is. And what's necessarily good for white people and white progressives is not good for Black people in a Black community. We've seen this when white liberals wanted to hijack the civil rights movement from Dr. King and from the countless others who fought alongside him. We've seen this in 2014 when white progressives wanted to control the movement and protesters in Ferguson and through countless other cities throughout the country. We have to understand that the problems that we face will not be fixed and solved by the same people who created them. I believe that white people have a part to play in our solution, but they cannot control what that solution is. White people have a part to play in politics, but they cannot control Black elected officials. And if we let them,
make it plain, Brother John, make it plain.
If we let them, then we truly don't care about Black advancement. We truly don't care about Black families. And we're going to continue to see what we see now. A struggling Black St. Louis, a divided Black St. Louis, and a St. Louis that cannot compete on a national level.
I think you said a lot. I think you said, man, I always appreciate just your insight and sometimes your foresight and your hindsight. I'm not gonna hold you. Decided. But I always come to you and I think about these political questions and think about how we kind of get out of this electorally. We just had a big election and on that north side of town where for Congress, Cori Bush went up against Wesley Bell. Big race, a lot of money flew in. But that's their narrative. I want to talk about the Black narrative with you, where you got two Black people, one with an address in Ferguson, one address in North City, coming from Black communities, living in their lives and trying to strive and grow. I feel like Wesley served some of his purpose on the city council. I feel like Cori went in there and protested and was really one of the only ones to speak up, but that didn't really land her in this last election. The narrative is it's a lot of AIPAC money, which is a fact. They spent a lot of bread here. It was the Israel-Palestine issue that I would like to openly say that's really, again, that's not a universal Black issue. That's not something that most of my people in my community have talked to me about or even asked me about if I'm keeping it a buck. Um, I want to talk about the Black things that might have came up in this Corey Wesley election cycle that you might have seen. Any influences or any tactics and strategies that really tells us a story from a Black perspective. What's happening in this Ferguson district where the prosecutor could take out a Ferguson protester? And the narrative is about white money and white influence and not about actual Black people voting.
That is a multifaceted question.
Okay.
Corey Bush against Wesley Bell, two high-profile names in the St. Louis area. Corey Bush lost, and she was out-organized by her opponent. And I believe she did not cater to the base that put her in office.
Why do you say that?
I think that when you look at the demographics of St. Louis County and St. Louis City in the 1st Congressional District of Missouri, you will find a demographic that believes in community policing, that believes in real economic development, that believes in common sense legislative policies. When you have a representative who has adopted other issues, who has adopted a separate agenda outside of the issues in the agenda that your community is either suffering from or asking for, you are alienating your base. In terms of representing us, I believe she was a good representative. I believe she did a good job in motivating and inspiring her district.
Facts.
But what is the action behind it? We love the symbolism, but symbolism without substance will not sustain, not for long. I believe she made a mistake in alienating the 1st Congressional District. Wesley Bell. White people claimed Wesley when he ran against Bob McCullough. As soon as he decided to run against Corey Bush, they disowned him. For me, white people will love you one day and hate you the next when you don't do what they want you to do or say what you want them to say.
Yeah.
And I believe Corey Bush knows that all too well now.
Firsthand.
But in terms of their relationship and how they can move forward, they have to for the interest of St. Louis. They have to for the interest of Ferguson. They have to for the interest of Black advancement. We need them both. We need Corey Bush, the symbol. We need Corey Bush to bring us substance. We need Wesley Bell, the symbol. And we need Wesley Bell to bring us substance. Now we have to look at what will happen tomorrow. What will happen next year? What policies will Wesley Bell introduce in Congress that's going to uplift his community? Can Corey Bush help? Will she help? I believe she will because she cares about her people, because she cares about the state that her people are in. That race should not have happened. Let me say that. That race should not have happened. And if the Ferguson movement, if we were not divided, then it wouldn't have. But we allowed ourselves to be divided by white people, by white progressives, by the Democratic Party, and by money. So when we became divided, special interests came in. We can only be upset at ourselves. Because in a perfect world, we need a Wesley Bell.
Mm.
In a perfect world, we need a Corey Bush. We need them to coexist together so we can hit all angles and all ends.
Mm.
It is my goal and it is my prayer that in the next 2 years, in the next year, that we will see a combination team of Wesley Bell and Corey Bush, who's going to continue to hold the seat 2 years from now or 4 years from now should not be the concern. The concern now is who has the seat and what is he going to do with it.
Mm. Look, it kind of hit that Corey not gonna be the congresswoman. It hit differently when you see somebody who, I mean, the McCluskeys pulled out guns on me and Corey as she was running her campaign. That was a thing. So for me, it's a real one that's gone. Corey, you can always have a seat right here and holler at me and tell your side how you feeling. And really, like you said, I heard it live and direct on the video. Now you get to come for everybody. And yeah, let's go do that if that's what you want to do. And this seat is always open for you. John, I appreciate your honesty, your realness. For popping out that one night when they came through shooting. And they didn't expect the alderman to be strapped up, ready to defend, bro. So I just want to say thank you for being a real one. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I know you got big things coming. I see it in you. I see it on you. I see your steps are ordained, bro. And I really appreciate you for giving me this privilege and always keeping it real, bro. I love you, John, bro.
I want to thank you, man, for all that you do. The seen and the unseen, the heard and the unheard. For all that you did in Ferguson before 2014 and after 2014. And I want to say people don't give you the acknowledgement that you deserve. But everybody who was really there, we all know who you are, what you mean, and what you did.
Appreciate it.
My man.
Oh, yeah, bro. So I know I want to rap with him more too. You can find John Combs Muhammad on all social media. Good brother there. Thank y'all for watching another episode of Witness to History, Ferguson 10. News One has a great platform. We're utilizing it to have these blacktastic conversations. And we're going to tell it from the grassroots perspective. So everybody that's out there, thanks for coming to Witness to History, Ferguson 10, only on News One. See y'all next time. Peace.